There is an old library in a quiet New England town, a building that has stood for more than a century. By day, it feels ordinary. Stone walls, tall shelves, the faint smell of dust and paper. Students come and go. Retirees read the newspaper. Teachers prepare lessons, but at night, the library changes. The doors lock, the lights dim, and silence falls across the halls. That's when the whispers begin. The night guard swears he hears them. Low voices, murmurs drifting down from the second floor, as if two people are speaking, just out of sight. He climbs the stairs, but the whispers vanish. Only shadows remain, and the long, hollow creak of the floorboards. Some say it's only the building settling. Others believe it's darker. Voices of the past, echoing through the shelves. Perhaps those whispers carry more meaning than anyone dares to realize. One librarian often stayed late, finishing her shift long after the last visitor had gone. The library was silent, filled only with the steady hum of the lights and the faint squeak of her cart as she moved between the shelves. It was on one of these nights that she first heard it. At first, it was so soft she thought she imagined it. A whisper, drifting through the air like a faint draft. Then it came again, clearer this time. A voice, unmistakably calling her name. She froze where she stood. Her heart seemed to stop, because she recognized that voice. It wasn't a stranger. It was her best friend. A friend who had died years ago. Slowly, she turned her head. The aisle behind her was empty, lined only with rows of books that disappeared into darkness. And then the whisper returned, closer this time, as if it came from right behind her ear. She felt warm breath brush the back of her neck, so real that her hands began to shake. The book she was holding slipped and crashed to the floor. The sound echoed loudly down the shelves, breaking the silence like thunder. And then, just as suddenly, everything was quiet again. No whisper, no breath, only the hollow stillness of the library. From that night on, she never worked alone. One college student often came to the library late at night, cramming for exams. The place was empty, quiet, and still. He sat at a table in the corner, surrounded by tall shelves that seemed to lean over him like silent witnesses. That was when he heard the sound. At first it was faint, a soft flutter that echoed through the aisle. Then it grew clearer, the distinct sound of pages turning. He stood and followed the noise. At the far end of the room, he saw a thick, old book lying open on a table. He was certain it had been closed before. Curious, he shut the book and walked away. Minutes later, he returned. The book was open again, this time to a different page. No one was there. No wind, no draft. Yet the book seemed alive, as though someone was reading it in silence. Later, he learned the book had once belonged to a professor who had died in a car accident years earlier. It was the very volume the professor borrowed, again and again, almost obsessively, until his final days. And now, it seemed, the book refused to stay closed. Its story unfinished, its pages still demanding to be read. A night guard walked his usual patrol through the library around midnight. The halls were long, narrow, and dimly lit. His flashlight cut through the darkness, but the silence pressed in around him. Then he heard footsteps. At first he thought they were his own, echoing strangely off the walls. But the sound continued, even when he stopped walking. There was another set of steps, pacing just a few yards ahead. He shone his light down the corridor. Nothing. Empty shelves, shadows stretching across the floor. Still, the footsteps persisted. Determined, he moved faster, trying to catch up with whatever was there. The sound quickened too, always keeping just out of reach. His pulse raced as the beam of his flashlight shook across the shelves. And then he saw it. At the far end of the hallway, a heavy wooden door slowly swung shut. No breeze, no draft. The air was still, yet the door closed with deliberate weight. The guard froze, his breath caught in his throat. He knew he had not been alone on that patrol. From that night onward, he refused to walk the upper floors of the library without another guard by his side. To most people, these stories sound like simple hauntings. Ghostly whispers, footsteps in the dark, books that open on their own. But in Gothic tradition, a haunted library carries a much deeper meaning. The library itself is not just a building. It is a vault of memory. Every book is a fragment of the past. Every shelf a silent archive of human experience. When people walk through its aisles, they are not just surrounded by stories. They are surrounded by ghosts of knowledge, secrets, and history. The whispers are not always spirits. Sometimes they are echoes of the subconscious, voices from our own minds reminding us of things we try to forget. Just as Freud suggested, repressed memories never disappear. They return, disguised in strange, haunting forms. The book that refuses to stay closed symbolizes unfinished stories, unresolved lives. It is a reminder that the past cannot simply be locked away. If left unaddressed, it will force itself open, demanding to be acknowledged. The endless hallway, with footsteps always ahead, is the path of memory. The past moves before us, out of reach, yet never gone. We follow it, but we can never catch it. So perhaps these hauntings are not external at all. Perhaps they are mirrors, reflections of the weight we carry inside. In the Gothic sense, the library is not just haunted by spirits. It is haunted by us. We all carry haunted libraries inside us. Maybe it's a box of letters hidden in the attic. Maybe it's a song that pulls you back to someone you lost. Or maybe it's a memory you buried long ago, yet it still whispers when the room falls silent. These stories remind us that the past never disappears. It lingers, it waits, and it returns in ways we don't expect. The whispers in the library are not always ghosts. Sometimes they are echoes of ourselves, pieces of memory we are not ready to face. And that may be the most haunting truth of all. The real ghosts are the ones we carry within. So what do you believe? Was the library in New England truly haunted? Or was it only a mirror, reflecting secrets and memories people never dared to face? Perhaps the whispers were never spirits at all. Perhaps they were reminders of what we try to bury, but cannot silence. And maybe that is the real horror, not the ghost in the aisle, but the weight of memory pressing down on us, waiting, whispering. If you want more stories like this, subscribe. New episodes every week, and each one will take you deeper into the shadows. Until then, listen carefully, because the next whisper might be yours.